Since the birth of boxing, heavyweight has ruled the sport. That's the human nature of it. We like bouts of giants, where knockouts occur most often.
A left and a right.
However, with the emergence of Ray Robinson, the lone dominance of the Royal Division came to an end. Welterweight has become a place of accumulation of super talents. Duran, Leonard, and Hearns made the welterweight the strongest division in the 80s. After them, Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad took the baton and created the great fight of the 90s. In the tens of the third millennium, by the efforts of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, welterweight once again became the strongest boxing category. In the current decade, other heroes continue this trend. Terence Crawford and Errol Spence are vying for the status of a symbol of this era. On July 29th, their paths will cross in Las Vegas, and we'll see a new story created. Welcome back to the Boxing Classics, and this is the countdown to the Spence vs. Crawford mega fight. One of the most dominant champions in the modern era was born in New York City, but Errol spent most of his adult life in DeSoto, Texas. That's where Spence's boxing potential was formed. Truth hurts, and in the case of this athlete, these words should be taken literally. His nickname is Truth, and his style philosophy is destruction. Total, ferocious devastation. Crossing the ropes, he turns into a butcher. Through systematic pressure and high performance, Spence grinds down his rivals. During the fight, they feel like a mass that has been thrown into the meat grinder. He breaks ribs, destroys facial bones,
He's showing up, backing up,
and makes liver chops.
Keep Spence off. There's that left hook to the body. That's what we're talking about, man. Body attack.
Every opponent stepping into the ring learns this painful truth. During his amateur career, Errol had already shown his knockout skills and killer instinct.
I'm a very aggressive boxer. If I see have my opponent hurt, I would take risks and go in there and try to get him out of there and knock him out. I'm a person that hate to lose in anything. So that's my motivation right there.
Besides obvious talent, Spence has traits such as consistency, work ethic, and dedication. He trains under the mentorship of one man throughout his career. Derrick James is a multi-time Coach of the Year winner. Under his tutelage, the boxer formed a strong left-handed stance and achieved impressive physical condition. After turning pro in 2012, Truth automatically became a prospect. Eventually, Spence's career was handled by the mysterious Al Heyman. Errol's fights were actively promoted. 3 years later, he was fighting worthy opponents, and his name was moving up in the rankings of every organization. Even Floyd Mayweather didn't ignore his talent. In preparation for his fight with Robert Guerrero, he hired Spence as a sparring partner and was really impressed. Back then, Floyd said he could see a future champion.
Actually, he was giving me good work, real good work. He pushed me, made me get in tip-top condition. And when I got in tip-top condition, I was Floyd Mayweather. But he's a hell of a fighter.
In April 2016, Errol showed his readiness for title shots when he brutally decimated former champion Chris Algieri. 1 year later, the talented boxer stepped up to the next level. He got his elite ticket by defeating Kell Brook. For that, Spence came to England to fight the owner of the title. In the beginning of the clash, the ring owner had the upper hand. By mid-fight, however, Spence had grabbed the initiative, throwing dozens of punches to the head and body. He slowed Brook down before seriously crippling him. Kell suffered a fractured orbital bone. The brave champion kept fighting, but in the end, his courage was also choked. Winning the IBF title, Errol Spence was on his way to becoming the long-term champion in the welterweight division. At the same time, the fighter was getting more and more recognition as a top athlete. The dominant wins over Lamont Peterson and Mike Garcia guaranteed a place on the mythical pound-for-pound list. Still, Spence knew even if he beat every welterweight in the world, he wouldn't be the best until there was one name on his victims list. And that was Terence Crawford. Omaha, Nebraska. In this city, one of the best fighters of the 21st century was born and raised. A true miracle man in the ring, doctor of boxing sciences, and lecturer of the beatings department. The unstoppable Lord of Styles, holder of a smashing punch and unbreakable mentality, academician of sniper shooting, and professor of brilliant footwork. When the silent hunter enters the ring, his opponents have no mercy. When you fight him, the desire to win vanishes. All that's left is hope for the final bell. But few of the lucky ones hear it. That's Terence Crawford. And his boxing deserves glowing praise and a loud ovation. But his road to the top was not an easy one. He spent many years shaping his own style. At school age, Terence got an arm injury during a fight and was deprived of the opportunity to train. Right then, the future champion showed his character and drive for perfection.
When that happened, my coach, he was like, well, you ain't gonna be able to be in the gym for some months. I was like, no, I ain't. So I just go in there and work on my left. And then next thing you know, the left was stronger than the right. When the right, I had to get the right back strong.
Terence became an ambidextrous boxer, and that skill helped him form a versatile style. Now we see a flawless boxer. However, such scores were obtained by years of hard work. Crawford has an identical trait to his opponent. He never changes his team. His primary mentor is Brian Bo-Mac McIntyre, assisted by Asao Dieguez and Red Spikes. Crawford trusts these men and counts them as family. By the way, the fighter's nickname is Bud. In 2008, he turned pro and signed with Top Rank. It would seem that working with a leading organization is already a success. But at that time, only Manny Pacquiao was in the spotlight of the promotion. The other talented fighters were on the sidelines. Till 2012, Terence had to fight at the parking lots with no more than 100 spectators. Despite that, Crawford had a remarkable boxing level. Only 5 years later, Bud was given a better-known opponent. Anyway, Breedis Prescott wasn't as cunning, not smart enough to outplay Crawford. Along with an important win, Terence also received respect from his celebrity colleagues. Tim Bradley was destroying sparring partners in preparation for his fight against Devon Alexander. So, looking for a real opponent, Bradley went to Crawford, and in their first sparring, Terence taught the champion a lesson.
I think that was some of the best sparring I ever had, man. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. The first day he came in, we sparred, and after the spar shot, I was like, who the is this dude? Yeah. I was like, yo, this dude ain't no sparring partner. I called my manager, Cameron Duncan at the time, and I said, this kid, he's like, hey, Tim, what? Don't tell me. You're sending him home too. And I was like, no. I was like, this kid ain't no sparring partner, man. I said, this kid's a world champion.
In 2014, Terence went to Scotland and won his first title. To the surprise of the local crowd, their champion Ricky Burns was utterly helpless against Hunter from Nebraska. At the champion's rank, Terence faced his first challenge. Undefeated Yuriorkis Gamboa moved up to lightweight for a new trophy, but in the end, he got his first defeat. Contrary to some difficulties, Crawford was unstoppable. He landed an opponent 4 times and eventually finished.
Oh my God! Oh, down goes.
In 2015, Hunter from Nebraska moved up to light welterweight and captured the WBO title against Thomas DeLorme. Crawford won a thrilling super duel. In the 6th round, DeLorme was discovered and eliminated. The light welterweight was poor in big names. Viktor Postol represented the only danger for Crawford, a tall, long-armed Ukrainian with a snaggy style. In 2016, there was a title unification. Terence had the WBO belt. Viktor had the WBC belt. For each of them, it was the main test of their careers. Bud chose a complicated strategy with constant movements. Nevertheless, it worked. Terence became a difficult target and disrupted his attacks with counter punches. Once again, Crawford showed his ability to master different styles. The most important victory made him the unified champion. A year later, Bud destroyed his last victim on the way to the undisputed championship. Julius Indongo was monstrously liquidated by body shots. It was the first time for 12 years that boxing had an undisputed champ with 4 belts. Terence became one of the pound-for-pound leaders. But to establish his legacy, he needed a famous opponent. Top Rank had the legendary, but visibly aged Manny Pacquiao in mind. However, Pac-Man was suddenly defeated by Jeff Horn. Then he left Top Rank, leaving Terence all alone. Since then, the Terence Crawford project has been a pain in the ass for Arum. Having such a diamond at his disposal, the promoter couldn't find a use for it. Knowing the significance of big fights, Terence moved into the welterweight, which was teeming with superstars. From that moment on, promotion of the Crawford-Spence fight began. Since 2019, each fighter's performance has led to an inevitable comparison. But while Spence feasted on quality opposition and numerous trophies, Crawford could only settle for crumbs from the holiday table. Terence was beating once popular fighters whose fame is now just a shadow. And after his fight with the hunter from Nebraska, there was nothing left at all. Fans are wondering why there was never any hype for such a big fight between Spence and Crawford. It's not the boxer's fault. Neither of them are brawlers, but in the ring they can box at the highest level. Actually, the problem is that the modern generation of spectators, who are more interested in some ugly and cheap imitations of boxing fights than in the skills of talented champions. So, in 2019, Errol Spence went to unification titles to show who is the best welterweight. His opponent was WBC champion Shawn Porter. This was the one and only fight in which Errol didn't look like a winner. Showtime got him into a real war. Spence had to fight under uncomfortable conditions. Despite the fact that it was a close fight, the initiative was in Porter's hands, and the hardest hits came from his side. Spence needed a highlight reel, and in the 11th round, he pulled it off.
Who's has done more damage? It's impossible to calculate, but there Spence pulls one out. What a shot!
However, the knockout had no effect on Shawn, and the final round was left to him. Nevertheless, the moment had an impact on the judges. The Truth unified 2 titles, but failed to prove that he is the undisputed best welterweight in the world.
Well, Spence gets it.
At this point, talk of a fight with Bud Crawford peaked, but the accident that nearly cut off Spence's life almost robbed us of the dream match. After the Porter fight, Errol had a terrible crash. He lost control at high speed, and his car flipped at least 5 times in the air. The boxer was thrown onto the road. The crash was even captured on surveillance cameras. The white Ferrari became a pile of scrap metal, while the boxer received relatively minor injuries, facial tears, and knocked out teeth. Luckily, he didn't even suffer any fractures. Without knowing the details, fans and critics piled on the drama and buried his career. What was the surprise of skeptics when a year later Spence returned to the ring and dealt with one of the best welterweights in the world without warm-up performances? famous Danny Garcia looked like a statistic. Errol was so good that no one could tell the difference. At the end of 2021, the boxing world was watching another big event. Terence Crawford, ending his contract with Top Rank, faced the most dangerous opponent of his career. It was Shawn Porter, who left the PCB location to experience one last title shot. The dramatic match proved to answer some questions, first and foremost for Crawford's skeptics, who claim he's a fake champion. In this fight, Terence silenced them all. About half of the bout was competitive. From the 6th round, Bud took the lead and forced Shawn's corner to tap out.
What was your message to Errol Spence tonight?
He was at my fight?
Yeah.
Now that boy said he wasn't he don't never be at my fights, but now he at my fights.
After that, Spence continued to collect belts and win a 3rd title, which took him closer to the status of undisputed champion. By defeating Yordenis Ugas, The Truth became the holder of the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles.
What's next?
Oh, everybody know who I want next. I want Terence Crawford next.
Meanwhile, Terence has become a free agent. All barriers to creating a dream match were destroyed. At 2 press conferences in early June, the fighters did an excellent job of promoting. Spence and Crawford, who previously did not trash talk, demonstrated a war of words without swearing or insults. At the Los Angeles conference, Spence won.
In Vegas.
We'll see.
Errol?
We don't smoke over here.
It's legal in Vegas, man. We gonna roll him over, smoke him.
All we do is
man.
fish fillet.
We gonna roll him over, smoke him, man.
We go hunting over here, and best
like
believe
I said,
we hunting you
we
down.
gonna roll him up and smoke this dude.
But a day later in New York, Terence got revenge.
It's about that.
Well, you know, I like to go fishing. Everybody know those are my hobbies.
Man, that's cat. He not catching me with no fishing pole,
hey, listen.
man. I'm the biggest. You
Listen.
can't catch me with no fishing pole.
Listen.
What it look like catching Moby Dick with a fucking fishing pole, man? Get out of here, bro.
They all been caught before.
Man, not with no fishing pole.
Every last one of them. And
Not
July
with no fishing
29th,
pole.
he gonna be caught too. I got a big enough hook for him. And,
Yeah,
and I'm already reeling them in.
Don't
July
even sound
29th,
good. Your ass better have a submarine.
I'm gonna put him on the bank. I'm gonna put him on the bank. I'm gonna gut him and I'm gonna fillet him.
Man, you
like
better
I
have
said.
a submarine.
All right, we gonna catch him. Well, matter of fact, we already caught him. We just reeling them in right now. And July 29th, that's when we're gonna get him to the bank.
So, the talking is over. The fighters are ready for the main fight of their lives, and it's time for the provisional totals. Spence is a powerful and fantastic pressure. He's a real boulder, and of course, he's physically stronger. There's a reason he calls himself Big Fish. Errol has a tremendous arsenal, but he's more comfortable in the short and medium range. He's not very agile. His wide stance resembles a heavyweight, so every hit does a lot of damage. However, he needs to get closer to shoot the opponent. Crawford has a different style. He's versatile, but he's never going to use power pressing tactics. Terence's offensive is primarily mental pressure. You never know what stance he's going to take, which way he's going to move, and where he's going to hit from. His philosophy harbors a kind of X factor that many elite boxers lack. Terence can anticipate danger and predict his opponent's weaknesses before he shows them. We can make a lot of comparisons, but the bottom line is this: a wolf is fed by its feet. In this particular matchup, that fact is crucial. So, for Nebraska's Hunter, good footwork and patience are the keys to victory. If he stays in the middle distance, the truth will wipe him out. Spence's victory depends on his ability to cut corners and get his opponent to the ropes. We'll find out soon if Crawford can pull a big fish, or if Spence will force him to tell the truth. Enemies are down. All barriers are broken. There is nowhere to retreat. On July 29th, the coronation of the best boxer of our time will take place. Dear friends, please write who you will support in this fight. Give us a like and be sure to subscribe to Boxing Classics. It's a second thing for you, but it's a huge help for us. See you soon.